Get ready for Oskaloosa High School sports on the Indians Network. Live sports. Local content. Student-run broadcasts. MCG, Oski News, and KIIC bring you the Indians Network. Presented by Craig Ford.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee, here on the Indians Network, presented by Craig Ford, in a partnership with Oskaloosa News, MCG, and Thunder Country KIIC. My name is Jamie Brockman, and we're going to get you caught up on Oskaloosa sports as usual this week, and we're going to go outside the box a little bit, too, with a couple guests that we don't normally feature here on the program. So we're going to talk Oskaloosa boys basketball. We'll be joined by boys coach DeJuan Foster. Boys with a win last week over Sheraton, then a loss to Ottumwa, and then, of course, Friday's games were postponed due to snow. Do want to let you know that they have rescheduled those games from Friday, by the way, with Grinnell. The girls will be on February 6th, and the boys will be rescheduled to February 18th. So mark your calendars for those days. Those are both at Grinnell, making up the games postponed from this Friday for the girls and boys. So we'll talk to boys coach DeJuan Foster. I gave Coach J.C. White, the girls coach, the week off this week because they didn't have a game. They were supposed to play Bondurant-Farrar on Tuesday, but Bondurant-Farrar had to make up a conference game that night, so that took precedence, and they're actually going to play that on Monday night this week at Oskaloosa, girls against Bondurant-Farrar. But no games this past week for the Oskaloosa girls. So we'll catch up with J.C. White next week. We'll talk wrestling with Coach Chase Weber. We had Oskaloosa wrestling on the Indians Network on Thursday against Indianola. Not a great night. They fell 64-9 in that duel, but they had a great day overall at the Iowa City Duels on Saturday. So we'll talk to Coach Weber about that. And conference is just around the corner. District's just a few weeks away. We'll discuss that as well. And then outside the box, we're going to be joined by the coach of the number 3 ranked NAIA men's college basketball team in the country, William Penn. And head statesman Coach John Henry will join us today. We'll catch up with Coach Henry, talk about statesman basketball. And then we'll talk about a way you can help out kids coming up for prom time, after prom specifically. We'll be joined by Ashley Schultz, one of the after prom committee members, and talk about some of the upcoming after prom fundraisers that you can help out in to ensure that our kids have a great, safe night after prom. So all that and more is coming up on this week's edition of the Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We'll be back with it. Don't go away.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! And the winner by unanimous decision, Hy-Vee!
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Welcome back to this week's Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Here on the Indians Corner, my name is Jamie Brockman, and we're going to start off talking Oskaloosa boys basketball. As you can see, joined by Oskaloosa coach DeJuan Foster. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jamie.
You bet. Well, kind of another weird week with weather and so forth, but the week got off to a good start. On Monday night, we got a chance to step out of the Little Hawkeye Conference and play Sheraton, and we got a nice 10-point win there, and the guys had to fight for it.
Yeah, we did. Sheraton, I mean, they came and they brought it to us. We struggled early on, and I nothing against Sheraton. I thought we were a better team. we didn't get things going as we like to. And in the second half, we kind of got out and ran a little bit, got some easy layups, forced a couple turnovers. And then we took control of the game, went up by 10-12 and never really, let it up.
And late in that game, it looks like the offense kind of started to settle in a little bit. Started running that flex, and we got some easy backdoor cuts, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, the guys, started running. We started running the plays a little bit better. Guys were in the right position, but I really think that we got a couple easy buckets in transition, whether it be Reese feeding Colton or Isaac was really good that game as well. I mean, I didn't realize how well he played because Isaac got this thing where he makes a mistake and he looks over at me, and I just kept thinking about that. And then I got back after the game and did the stats, and he had a heck of a game. He missed 4 shots and played really well defensively. So that was really our key. We got some stops, and we turned the ball over, but we didn't turn it over as much. And when you can take care of the ball, it's really easy to get shots on the basket versus not getting shots and the other team scoring and not getting stops. So.
Yeah, Isaac had a career high that night with 24 points offensively, and really kind of just stood out in every statistical category. And Oski got the win, 62-52, and then hoping to take that momentum on the road to Ottumwa Tuesday. It's been a while since Oski and Ottumwa have matched up, especially at Evans Middle School, but kind of a renewed rivalry there, if you will, from a few years back. And just wasn't our night on Tuesday.
No, it wasn't. I thought we came out kind of flat. We didn't really have it. And Ottumwa's one of those teams that they got some pieces and they're a lot better than their record suggests. And mind you, they play a lot of games. They play in the CIML.
Yeah.
So, they play a bit tougher competition. And, I don't think we matched their intensity early, and then it was uphill battle for the rest of the night. And there's a couple positives in the game. I thought that, once again, the bench guys came in and did a really, really good job. And I made a comment, and I don't know. It was a respectable 30-point loss. We could have laid down, and that could have got really, really out of hand. And I think our guys 7 through 12 came in and did a really good job.
So I know with the weather mix-ups and things, of course, Friday's games at Grinnell were postponed and rescheduled. We'll give you those rescheduled dates again here in a little while. But we didn't get to play Friday. Basically had the weekend off again for the second straight week. Haven't had a whole lot of time to get in the gym as a group and just practice and work through things. But when you have, what are some things that you're focusing on?
That's one of the crazy things about this high school basketball season. I mean, you get 2 weeks to start, and then you got games every Tuesday and Friday and sometimes Saturday. So practice is, we really have to focus on things, and it's really taking care of the ball, and we're working on getting better defensively is kind of what I'm focusing on. If we can do those things, I think we'll be pretty good.
I know you've played with your lineup a little bit. We've had some different groups of 5 on the floor throughout the games. Are you kind of getting an idea of, your first 5 and maybe your second 5 at this point, or what kind of a rotation you want to use?
We are kind of ironing that out, and it's tough just because we haven't been all there. And, plugging guys in, the roles change all the time. And, you get a guy to understand what his role is, and then all of a sudden, something happens and it changes. But we, as coaches, I think the Ottumwa game, we didn't bring it offensively maybe, or, our levels weren't there, but I think we had kind of figured out our rotations. But once again, they may change here again, we get some guys back, we lose some guys, what be it. So it's a work in progress, as always. It's really fluid, and it's really about who's playing well for us at the moment.
Let's talk about some players that are stepping up and kind of getting noticed here lately while we play through this. And one of those is Reese Sarver. He's a senior, got back ready to play after the holiday break. Hadn't really seen him play, and he seems to really bring a spark to the floor when he's out there.
He does, and that's the one thing we talk about as coaches. When Reese is on the floor, it is the one thing you don't have to worry about is his effort. He is always going 100 miles per hour, and sometimes I tell Reese, hey, just, third gear sometimes, and, switch gears up. But that's the one thing, and effort and defensively, if he can get some shots to fall, I think we'll be really dangerous. But, we know with Reese we'll always get effort.
And same thing with Charlie North. He's getting a lot of extra minutes here down the stretch, and doesn't, he doesn't score 10, 12 points a game, but it's everything else.
Charlie is always around the ball. He's always got his nose in somewhere. It's one of those things like Charlie's, I've interviewed with you after every game, and I've always kind of ranted about Colton. But Charlie is a kid cut from the same cloth. They just go out and do whatever it is you ask of them to do, and they do it really well and really hard. And, you can live with mistakes. And Charlie's so young, and that's, as a coach, it's kind of tough to step back and remember. This kid's a sophomore, and this is his first year at varsity ball, and varsity ball's it's a whole different ball game from, he was playing freshman last year. But I think Charlie's progressing and getting better every day and understanding what's asked of him, and he's bringing a lot to the team.
A couple other sophomores that are seeing time are David Nelson and Carson Jensko. And how do you feel they fit in the mix?
I think they're doing well. Carson has been kind of thrown in the fire as a sophomore starting, He's getting some backup point guard minutes, and, it's a big deal with Carson as far as his confidence. Sometimes in practice, it had to be our practice on Thursday, he shot the ball. And, I stopped practice and asked him, I was like, where's this coming from, Carson? Sometimes he's just in the game and just kind of passing the ball around, and we want him to be a bit more aggressive. It's just him, getting in the groove of, being that point guard on this team. And then who's the other one?
Jensko and
David.
David Nelson, yeah.
Yes, David Nelson is one of those kids. He can flat out shoot the ball, and it's about him getting more comfortable with his role. His role is to shoot the ball. Make it or miss it, I don't care. Punt it up there if you have to, David. I really don't care, and I think I've told him that several times. When we put you on the floor and you get an open look, let it go. If you make it, good. If you miss it, make the next one. And it's just one of those things. And as these kids get older in the season, we get a little bit deeper in the season, I think I can expect a little bit more out of them, and I think big things are coming from the both of them.
So the sophomores have been playing a fairly big role here down the stretch with all the injuries and sicknesses and so forth. And then, of course, we can't forget our seniors. They're the leaders. They're the four-year members of the program. How do you feel they're adapting, and how are they working with these younger guys?
I think the entire team, they get along really well, and, they work together really well. It's, a lot of times you would see, I would think, you would have seniors like, I'm a senior, this is my time. I think they've brought these sophomores in, welcome to the team, and they are trying to teach them what it is that we're expecting of them.
All right, well, we were supposed to start the second round through the Little Hawkeye Conference on Friday night at Grinnell. Those games were postponed due to weather. They are rescheduled for in February. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But now we officially start the second time through the conference on Tuesday, weather permitting, and that is home. In fact, we're home all next week. We don't have to go on the road, which is nice. But Tuesday, you've got DCG coming in. Now, DCG took it to us pretty darn good at their place earlier in the season. It was the first game without Zay after the mono, and you guys found that out the afternoon before, so there was no time to adjust. Now we've had time to gel a little bit and mix and play without Zay and so forth. So do you expect him to play Tuesday, first of all, at this point? And second, what do we need to do different against DCG?
We don't know. He's been cleared as far as doesn't have any symptoms of the concussion. We got to do some working out today and see how he feels after, we get his heart rate up, and then Monday he'll be able to go with some contact. If he is able to play, we're going to play him, but it's going to be sparingly just because it's conditioning. I don't know that it's there, but it's one of those things. He's on the floor. We'll just have to burn some timeouts to get him a break. Find kind of creative ways to get him a breather. I think that what we need to do differently against DCG, once again, is just take care of the ball. It's all about taking care of the ball, and it's a team with two good guards who do everything for them, and they create kind of havoc with very few high school teams will play 6 different defenses in one game, and they might switch defenses, possession to possession, and it's about us recognizing those defenses and attacking them accordingly.
If Xavier's back on Tuesday, looking back at that DCG game, those two guards you talked about are just amazing, and they just lit us up at the rim all night long. And just Xavier being out there, even if he's only 60%, just his presence is going to change their aggressiveness, I'm guessing, coming to the rim.
Hopefully, if we can keep him out of foul trouble and he can contest shots, it's one of those things that I don't care how big or small you are. When you go to the rim, you have to know beware of where he is. So if he can, provide us some minutes and protect the rim, I think, it'll go a long way for the team.
All right, so that's Tuesday, girl-boy doubleheader at home against DCG. Then a couple days to practice, and then Friday, home game again. And this is, I got to think, a revenge game on a lot of people's minds, especially probably Isaac Schultz. I think he's going to want to shine maybe Friday, but Newton is coming to town. And things got pretty hostile over in Newton in a lot of ways. In the crowd, on the floor, we just weren't getting calls. It was just not an Oskaloosa night in any way. And they're coming to our gym on Friday. They beat us. So I think we got to probably be pretty hungry for that one.
Oh, they beat us pretty handily. And, you speak of Isaac. I think Isaac, he may have only played 12 minutes that game. He got in some quick foul trouble, and we took him out in the first half and got picked up 2 really quick ones and then got teched in that game. And I don't know that, from what I saw, that he deserved the technical, but it was just one of those things. Sometimes that's just kind of the way it goes. I think that the Newton rivalry has been one of those things that's been kind of boiling below the scenes for a couple years. I know, 2 years ago we beat them pretty handily, and there was some social media chatter. And then last year, same thing. It was just the kids have these kind of desires to beat these teams. And same thing, Newton is one of those teams who don't have, their win-loss record doesn't necessarily say how good that team is. That's one of those teams that no matter how good or bad I was, I wouldn't want to see in my sub-state bracket, because they're really patient offensively, and they will run their stuff until they get good looks, and they got a couple guys who can shoot it. So it should be a good game.
Absolutely. So that is Friday night at home, girl-boy doubleheader with Newton coming to town. And get out and support the guys and girls that night. And let's pack that house on Friday night, and let's make some noise, because we got a little give back to Newton from what we got there when we were there earlier in the season. So, all right, so that's Tuesday, Friday, kind of a slow week compared to what it's been the last couple of weeks for your guys. And then looking a little further ahead, then it gets really heavy. Then we get back into the Norwalk and Pella, and we get both of those at home, which is great. But those are 2 games where we're going to really find out what we're made of late in the season, and do we, are we where we want to be to try to make a run later? Because those are 2 of the best teams in the state.
Absolutely. Actually, we're at Norwalk. We're at Norwalk, and that's just one of those gyms that's super tough to play in. It's really small. Their fan base is really, really crazy, really, really loud. So it's about us being able to, withstand that. And I want to say that game is going to be nationally televised. The Norwalk game is going to be on CBS Sports, CBS-SN, throughout the state, across the country. So it's one of those things, we got to bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to draw a lot of attention. Bowen Born, he just went over 2,000 points for his career recently. So we all know how good he is and how talented he is, but you don't see that too often, 2,000 points in a career, and he just accomplished that. And then, of course, Xavier Foster, the top recruit in the state, and it's just going to be a showdown rematch again of last year's state championship. It should be a fun one at Norwalk. And then we get Pella at home, Pella's playing pretty good right now, too. They just beat Pella Christian, come from behind on Saturday night in their round 2 of their Tulip City Showdown. So a lot of tough competition straight ahead. So as I say it again, obviously defense is a focus of ours. How do you feel now, knowing that at least soon we're going to have Xavier back in the lineup and we're going to get him back into condition and things? How do you feel? Do you feel like once everything's back in place, this team can be maybe what you kind of thought it might be at the beginning of the year?
I think so. It's about just having that consistency. It's so tough when, the lineups change so much. And I think with him in the lineup, we have a chance against anybody. It's about being able to understand, what it is we need to do, and doing it well, we'll be okay.
Okay, and morale still good on the team?
I think so.
All right. Well, good. That's good to see. So we will we'll, of course, have a lot of action for you coming up next week here on the Indians Network. Monday night, we have girls basketball makeup of Bondurant Farrar. Tuesday, girl-boy doubleheader, and that is when, who is it? Newton. No, Newton's
DCG.
DCG, thank you. So much to keep track of here. Tuesday, DCG comes into town, and then Friday night it is Newton coming to our place. And then the week after that, we've got Norwalk and Pella. So it's going to get fun. It's going to get heated real quick. Dwan, thanks for coming in again. Good luck to you guys, and we'll see you next week. That is Dwan Foster. He's the head boys basketball coach, Oskaloosa High School, joining us here on the Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We'll be back with more coming up straight ahead. We're going to switch gears a little bit from Oskaloosa, and we're going to talk about a little bit of William Penn and some other things outside of basketball going on around Oskaloosa. So don't go away.
MCG was born out of the need for reliable connectivity in rural Iowa. We put small town values over all else because serving local communities is something we take seriously. We believe in providing world-class service, in giving our communities a chance to succeed, in treating everyone like family. MCG helped pioneer reliable communication services in Iowa, and in doing so, learned how to provide solutions in underserved communities. MCG, world-class service, small-town values.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. Jamie Brockman talking wrestling now as we shift over to the mats, and we're joined by Chase Weber, Oskaloosa head wrestling coach.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. We just saw Chase on Thursday night when we had live on the Indians Network, home duel against Indianola, and we'll talk about that quick and brief, and then we'll move on to what was a much better day on Saturday at the Iowa City duels. But Coach, Thursday, Indianola came in, and we had some good moments in those matches, but Indianola. Boy, when they smell blood, they pin. I mean, I think 7 of the first 8 matches were falls in favor of Indianola.
Yeah, they're definitely stingy in how they come in. I think I talked on Thursday about their style is just a little different than the other schools we see. They definitely have their own flavor of how they attack. They're very good on bottom about movement, and then on top, they're really trying to rip your arms off. I mean, it's their style, and we kind of prepared for it, but their level is just a little bit higher than ours on Thursday.
Yeah, only 2 Oskaloosa wins in that one were Zach Beebe at 132, and then Wyatt Creer at 145 pounds got the 2 wins for Oskaloosa. 64-9, I think, was the final favoring Indianola. So you had a chance to, you didn't get to practice Friday because school and everything was canceled on Friday, and then off to Iowa City you go Saturday. And that is no easy task, going to Iowa City duels on Saturday, but you guys made it into the championship round and ended up with a 4th place team finish.
Yeah, and last year that one got canceled because of weather, and the one before last year. But so getting into that was nice. We could have it, but not having practice Friday, there was a damper on improvements from Thursday. We didn't even get to talk about it with the team, and then making sure kids can maintain some weight. So we got a little extra because of the day off. So everybody was good that was with us. We still had 1 or 2 out that weren't fully healthy from the sickness during the week. So it still could have had some better scores than what we ended up with.
Well, and Leland Evans made, I guess, all-tournament team or whatever it's called there. He went 5-0 in his matches, and I just want to talk about that briefly. So, obviously Leland is a quality wrestler. We've seen that. He's got 2 individual tournament championships this year. He was ranked 10th in the last rankings in Class 3A at 138. Against Indianola, he didn't do much. And I know he had been fighting weight all day long and trying to get there, and maybe just didn't have much in the tank. But then he comes out Saturday and is a whole different wrestler. So talk about that turnaround.
Well, just making better choices. We had that makeup tournament on Monday, kind of throws the week off. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, he had ate and hydrated during the tournament, so he was kind of a little bit heavier as far as water weight, and then making better choices during the day. So Friday, he knew he didn't practice, so he made some better choices, kept it lower, plus the 2 extra pounds we got for missing school. So that all helped him definitely as far as how he felt. And then we only had a 1 hour weigh-in, and he still was able to perform. So that's good for the future. We just got to make that week-long smart commitment and not the one-day smart commitment, and he'll feel good all the time.
So, yeah, Leland was 5-0 and just had a tremendous day at Iowa City. Who else were you impressed with on Saturday?
Connor Harbor. He's been kind of up and down this year as a freshman. He's at 113. He could be a 106-pounder. If you ever looked at him, you'd definitely guess that. He's a little undersized, but he comes out and, he has a really good headlock, and he hit it on a couple kids, and there's actually a couple other moments where he used other moves too. He got on top. I think we had a nice top ride on a kid, and we pinned him with a regular half instead of a headlock. So, him coming out, getting some good wins for himself, him and a couple other guys were really trying to keep that bubble above 500. We got 4 matches plus conference. We need to make sure we get above 500 for districts. We want to be seated on a line and not drawn in, and that makes a huge difference. So some of those kids having a good day, and we got to keep that rolling the next 2 weeks.
9-11 in duels right now with four duels left, I believe, on the season. So get a few days to go and work and condition and get to weight and make sure everybody's where they want to be. And next action will be on Thursday, which you'll see right here on the Indians Network if you can't make it. And it's going to be a long night of wrestling. If you're a fan of wrestling, this is one to come to. It's a quad. So you've got 4 teams, 4 duels, Keokuk, Williamsburg, Washington, and Oskaloosa. It's going to be a fun night of wrestling. And what are you looking for Thursday?
Well, we're looking for that same battle. We said it Thursday night to ourselves afterwards about everyone goes out and they definitely give it their all. We just got to put those efforts in the right spots to get some more of those wins or be close enough to win matches. So we saw that again Saturday. There's a couple of guys that had close matches that fell short, but we're still working. Now we just got to sharpen up on what we're working for. Instead of wasting time, or not necessarily wasting time, but we could be more productive, and that'll help all those guys. So Williamsburg is going to be a top tier. I was looking at Scout today, sitting around, and I think every one of their starters has over 20 wins. So that right there is going to tell us you're going to be in for a fight. Washington surprisingly had a couple open spots, so that duel with them, we're definitely looking to win that. We're not looking to let them give any leeway. And Keokuk's the same way, kind of thin in the lightweight, so we want to capitalize on those, make sure we got everybody in our lineup. That's what's helped us throughout the whole year is having full lineup. So we want all those guys that we have a chance to score bonus to solidify those wins and seal it early and not leave it up to the last match. Where Saturday we actually had a couple that could have been closer. We had Keegan Mitz-Butler's back, but he's kind of on a pitch count because he'd been out sick. So I let him have a couple matches, but he wasn't in every one. And we had another kid, a freshman, Jacob Skockel, was in helping us fill the lineup there. But we were actually in closer than what scores show if the swing matches of, take away their 6, give us 6, we close that gap and kind of things like that where we actually were closer with Dubuque Hempstead than we have been in the last 6 years. Muscatine got away from us a couple matches we were winning or should have won at the end, and we ended up losing. So real happy with how that worked out.
So, Williamsburg has been a powerhouse in wrestling for years at the 2A level, and they're a ranked team coming into this. As you said, a lot of their guys have 20 wins or more. I believe they were a state dual team last year, if I recall. I think I recall covering them down at the Well. But yeah, they bring a lot of talent, so that'll be a good test for us. Even though they're a step down level-wise Class 2A, doesn't mean anything in the sport of wrestling. Back to Iowa City. So, lost Iowa City High 50-30, beat Decorah 51-22, beat Clear Creek Amana 59-15. That got us into the championship round. Lost to Hempstead 52-30, and then for third place fell to Muscatine 51-25 to bring home 4th place out of 8 teams in a very tough tournament. And you're now 9-11 in duels. And we were talking about this before we went on camera. You've got some specific goals record-wise you want to accomplish this year, and it's very much within reach right now. You mentioned one of those is have a winning season, and I know you want to eclipse previous season's win marks, highest wins. So those are both well within reach.
Yeah, very much so. Looking ahead to Thursday, and then we know we have Pella the week after. So between the 4 matches ahead, we have every reason to end up, in the winning side of that percentage line. So we really want that because it's been a very long time since our whole team has had that with the duels. And we have 2 dual tournaments in our schedule plus our regular season. So we actually have a lot of duels in the season. We have over, I think there's 20. We usually end up about 24, 25 duels. So trying to stay above that is huge for the team that has been small, has been gapped, has been young. And so without the kids even realizing you're just going out and performing, but they really can set the trend and get back to that winning ways.
Well, we are in the backstretch right now of wrestling for sure. And do you think kids, I mean, is it sinking into them that, hey, it's go time? I mean, conference is a week away. It's on Saturday. That's the conference tournament. And then 2 weeks from that is your district tournament, which could either be your last match of the season or send you to Wells Fargo Arena to the state tournament. So are you seeing a little extra gas in the tank for these guys now this time of year?
Right now, I'd say more verbally than having those days off and this goofy schedule last week. That hurt a little bit as far as focus, but verbally they've talked about it after matches. Like there's a couple of kids that had those close losses, and you come off talking, and that's exactly what we said to them was, hey, we got to start, clamping down. Those situations we have to have better awareness. We're coming into the end. We can't afford any more close matches like that. We want to seal the deal if you get them on their back. There's not to call him out, Cody Gunn, the kid rolled through, we had a chance to almost pin him, and then he ends up getting off his back. Next period, we have another scramble, and we end up on our back, and we get pinned with, on our way out of bounds. So we're that close to getting a restart and a match where we could be winning, and it's like, no, that's you, that's all you. You got to be able to win those, and you got to, learn from it, keep moving on.
Yep. So this late in the season, what would you say our strengths are, and what are the weaknesses that you continue to pound on and focus on?
Strengths right now is, we're looking pretty fresh. I know there's talks in the beginning of the season, some of those kids looking a little drained, but it's just all personal on what we're putting in. And now we're getting to the season where they just had 5 matches Saturday, and we look just fine round 5 as we did round 1. So we like seeing that. So we know that kids are, getting enough out of their practices. We know who to kind of push a little extra if we need to. Weaknesses, the age of our team. We got a couple upperclassmen, but working on bottom, and it's kind of the same thing you watch other freshmen, even in college. The same thing of younger level, struggle a little bit on bottom. So we got a couple things we want to work on this next week, trying to make sure we're ready for conference, and it'll give us a little break before districts. But I would say bottom, and then our number 1 is we're looking good enough where we are moving. Now we just got to get more points.
So, again, coming up schedule-wise, Thursday night this coming week, home. It's a quad, Keokuk, Williamsburg, Washington coming in, all to face Oskaloosa. So you're going to see a lot of wrestling that night as each team will face each other, and it's going to be a fun night. Are you going to run 2 mats that night, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we'll have 2 mats. I'm not sure how much JV we'll have because of time frames. I'll contact those coaches tomorrow and Tuesday trying to line some stuff up. But there definitely we'll have 3 duels. We usually go, I think, Washington first. I'm trying to think, Keokuk first maybe, then Washington. And then Washington and Keokuk are conference opponents that have already seen each other, so they always leave early. And then we usually do Williamsburg last, because both of us are willing to put in an extra match and get home late. So
it starts at 5 o'clock on Thursday at the high school gym. So get there early, and you're going to see a lot of high school wrestling. You're going to see some top wrestlers that are ranked in their weight classes, and it should be a good night. We'll have it all right here on the Indians Network on Thursday night as well. I'll be joined, I believe, by Brett Sams in the booth on Thursday, and we'll bring it to you right here on the Indians Network. So from there then, that's Thursday. Saturday is conference. And what do you want to accomplish at the conference tournament? What's realistic that you think you can come out of there with?
Well, finish in top half. I think last year, we had Keegan get hurt at the end, which the team point-wise, and we're just trying to make sure we're improving on where we were from last year. We have quite a few guys back in the lineup that were in that tournament. So I want to see them kind of improve there. I want to see, get that conference champ back. Let's get more guys in the finals. Let's make sure some of those young guys place and not just backside. Those are the little things. I would say top half is the number 1 thing. Indianola and Norwalk are going to be slugfest for who's try to probably be the champion on that tournament. Grinnell beat us by 1 match in the duel. I'd love to see, maybe a couple grudge matches there. Newton, same thing. They won by a point over the duels, so I want to see some grudge matches there, making sure we retain our wins. And, with Pella, we won't see them before the end. It's just we want to see our guys improve from what they had before.
All right. So that is this coming Saturday. And then next Thursday will be the final regular season duel when Pella comes to Oskaloosa. And we'll be able to see that one right here on the Indians Network as well. And then from there, you've got 2 weeks, or basically a week and a half, if you will, to prepare for districts. And we all know that in Class 3A wrestling, you only get one shot to get to the well. You don't have sectionals. It's just districts. You go out there and really, I talk about this a lot when I broadcast sprint car racing in nationals time, and that is that the first 2 qualifying laps make or break your whole week. And some people that don't understand that think that's nuts. Well, in districts, your first match makes or breaks your entire district. If you lose that first match, your chance of going to state is gone.
Yes, because the 3A 8-man bracket, you have to be front side to guarantee that top 3, which would give you a wrestleback. So what that means is there's a true second place match. So like you're saying, you lose first round, the best you can do is 5th. And 5th ain't gonna cut it. There's no 3-way runner up to say you have a chance. That's it. And so you're coming out ready to go. If you have a tough bracket, it's that number 1 match, you gotta put everything into it. And for us, that I was saying about earlier, those winning records, making sure we have favorable first round matchups. If for our wrestling brackets, when we do seeding meetings as coaches before the duel or before the tournament starts, it's who can be put on where versus who, and you argue about how good your kid is, but everything's pretty much lined up. You look at records, you look at head-to-head, and then if you get deep enough, you go common opponent, and it can all help. So every match matters on how we're going to finish this season, and I want to make sure our guys don't get blind drawn into the number 1, number 2 seed who at our districts are some top tier ranked kids. We got to make our best chances and give ourselves a fighting chance. So.
Yeah, Southeast Polka's in our district.
Ankeny Centennial's in our district.
Ankeny Centennial's in our district. So if you follow wrestling, right, those are 2 major powerhouse teams. And in most weight classes, it's a question of who's going to finish 3rd because, Ankeny Centennial and Southeast Polka, I'm sure will be fighting for the top 2 spots there. But I know we've got a few at least that we got a shot to get there this year, and maybe we can pull a surprise or 2 as well. So we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks as it is still 3 weeks away, but it's going to be here before we know it. Coach, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the results on Saturday at Iowa City, and we'll look forward to seeing you Thursday in that quad at home.
Thank you.
That is Chase Weber, the head wrestling coach at Oskaloosa High, joining us here on Indians Corner. Again, don't forget Thursday night, big one at Oskaloosa High School, as you're going to see 4 teams in action, 3 different duels. You're going to see Washington, Keokuk, and Williamsburg all in to take on Oskaloosa. Starts at 5 o'clock on Thursday, and if you can't make it, or at least can't make it all, we'll have it live right here on the Indians Network. We'll take a break. More to come on Indians Corner after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve Beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! And the winner by unanimous decision, Hy-Vee!
Till I feel you.
He was swinging. Yeah, just a swing. I'd get it one piece at a time, and it wouldn't cost me a dime.
You mind your own business. Mind your own business. Everybody in town knows I'm crazy over you.
Thunder Country, your all-time favorites.
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. I'm Jamie Brockman, and we're going to step outside of Oskaloosa sports for a moment, high school-wise, and we're going to go to more sports in Oskaloosa on the college end with William Penn University. And we don't get much chance to talk about William Penn here on the Indians Corner, but we wanted to bring in men's basketball coach John Henry because the William Penn Statesmen are once again having a great season. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, 17-2 record right now. They lead the Heart of America Conference at 11-2, ranked number 3 in the country. Coach, this is just kind of a deja vu. I mean, every year you guys are right here at the top of this conference and up at the top in the rankings. So obviously another great team for you this year.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this year's team. A lot of good guys, and quite honestly, we only have 2 seniors, so next year could be a joy as well if everybody stays out of trouble and stays healthy. But we're off to a good run. Lost one last night to drop us to 17-2, but when you're playing 24 conference games, it's a very difficult run, and you're going to drop 1 or 2 here and there.
Absolutely. So tell us about your team. For those of us that haven't had much chance to see you or read up on you, tell us about your team. Who are some of the standouts, and what can people expect to see when they come watch the Statesman?
Dexter Hood is our senior starter from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he's a 5-tool player. Does just about a little bit of everything, and he's a great leader and a great young man. Built really well. Nate Gehring is a 6'10" guy out of Waukee, Iowa. Plays the center spot for us along with Eddie Daly from Michigan. And then Kamari Newman from Detroit, Michigan is our leading scorer and three-point shooter. And we have a handful of other guys. I don't want to try and name them all because I'll leave somebody out and then somebody's feelings get hurt, and I don't need all that. But those are pretty much the 4. If you were coming to see some dunks and threes that you'd be seeing.
What kind of team are you? I was just going to ask that. I mean, are you up and down the floor, dunking, flying team?
Yeah,
or
pretty much. That's been our staple for the last. I've been there for 19 years. We switched over to high-flying, fast-paced run and gun, if you will, style about 8-9 years ago, and we've just continued to evolve our philosophy on playing fast. We're averaging about 99 a game this year. We had 91 last night in defeat. We've had as many, I think, as 144 this year.
Wow.
So we think that that's the way to go, and it's a fun product for fans. It's a fun product for the players. The faster you play, the more points you score, the more kids you can get in the game, the more kids feel like they've contributed. So the next day in practice, they're locked in. So, and it's just. I think it's an easier way to play, to be honest with you. You want to get more possessions and want to get more shots up, and the other team is not used to playing that way, but they enjoy it, and they get caught up in. If you're averaging 8 points a game, Jamie, say you're playing at Grandview, I'll use them, or Central, the 2 teams we in red, and you're averaging 8 points a game, and at halftime, you have 12. As an individual, you're thinking, man, this is great. And that your coach is telling you, we got to slow down. We can't do this all night. They can. And that's pretty much been a lot of our philosophy is we get you tired eventually.
So, yeah, I mean, with this many games, and there's times where you have 4 games in a week. So, I mean, it's got to be a little difficult to keep up that pace night in, night out.
We are in a really tough stretch. We played last night on Saturday. We play Monday on the road. We were 4 hours away last night, and then we go to Lamoni, great city of Lamoni, tomorrow to play Graceland, and then Thursday we're at home, and then Saturday we actually leave on Friday to go all the way to Springfield, Missouri. So it's the dog days for college basketball right now. On the next 2.5 weeks, we're going to be getting about 10 games in 22 days.
Okay. And obviously, Coach Henry coaches the men, but you're also around the program and the athletic facilities, and the women are having a great year, too. So, I mean, just basketball in general at William Penn is hot right now.
Well, Steve Williamson is one of the best coaches in Iowa, men or women, and he does a fantastic job. A little bit different style than ours, but the winning is the same, and Steve is a great guy, so really happy to have him.
So as you look forward on your schedule, you talked about some of the tough ones coming up and some of the long travel, but is there a game or two that you have circled on the calendar, like this is the game that we need to win in order to be where we want to be?
Not really. I mean, I think our guys are amped up to play Mid-American Nazarene because they beat us. They were our first loss, but after last night, that might change. And that game got snowed out last week on Saturday. You know, I know that the high school games and everything were altered as well. So where we pushed that into the mix of another 4-game week now, instead of keeping it normal with the weather, it's just been, everything's been crammed into a short amount of time.
Sure. Well, so tell people again some of the upcoming dates off the top of your head where people can come out and support the Statesman.
Thursday night, we're at home versus Clark. After that, I don't look too far ahead. I don't have it completely memorized. I know that there is, we only have one more home Saturday, which is really weird, but that's the way the schedule worked out. And then senior night, I believe, is Wednesday Wednesday the 20-something. I don't know. It's on the calendar. Jamie, I really compartmentalize 7 days. Like you'll ask me something like, would I want to do a high school broadcast of a game versus Grinnell, and you'll tell me the date, and that seems so far away for me. And I've tried to get with you with the broadcast, and it just hasn't worked out. But I think we did one.
Yeah.
But I wish I could do more of those. You know, I'm an Indian. My kids are both, you know, Oskaloosa Indians, but I'll get with you sometime.
All right. Well, speaking of the kids, let's talk about Cole Henry a little bit and update fans on him. I know he's redshirting this year at UNI, but UNI is having a great season, and man, they've got some great talent and more great talent coming in the next year or two. So, how are things for Cole? How are things going his first year at college?
Maggie, my wife, and my daughter Ellie left at 9 this morning. They were going to go up there and take him out to lunch before the game, and then take him to church. Believe it or not, and then take him to lunch before he had to go to the game. UNI suits their red shirts. They would go through warm-ups as part of their ritual of game day, and I think he had a workout this morning too. So, doing well. The knee is healed. He's back to total 100% practice. He's put on some weight. He's lifting 6 days a week, or 6 times a week. I think it's 5 days, 6 lifts. So working hard. I've learned so much about that level of college basketball that I didn't know. Being a small college coach, I thought I knew what it was really like. They work so much harder than I ever imagined. The lifting and the meals and the travel and everything is so much more than I ever anticipated. And I know he's adapted well, but the stories he's telling me, I could never imagine. I think a long road trip from Atchison, Kansas in the middle of the night on a charter bus is tough. These guys are 24 hours a day, but he loves it up there. He's only been home 2 or 3 times, and you know, it was the right choice for him.
Yeah, and tell me a little, you told me the story earlier, but tell me the story of his jersey number 1.
When he was growing up, he had to pick a number for baseball, Little League Baseball. I think it was 9, and for whatever reason, all the numbers he wanted were gone, and the only jersey that would fit him was number 1, and he put it on, and he liked it. So he wore 1 a lot growing up for baseball and basketball, like travel teams when we lived in Albia. And then when he started AAU with Martin Brothers, they asked him what number 1 he wanted, and some of the numbers that he kind of wanted were gone, so he took 1. I wouldn't let him wear 1 in football, just because I thought it was strange. I knew he was going to be, you know, pretty tall, and it would just look really weird. So he took 8 because he liked Marcus Mariota. But when he got to UNI and they asked him what number he wanted, he asked for 1, and it just so happened that there was a young man who had transferred who had 1. So he ended up with it.
Wow, all right.
He claims he's, you know, 40 was my number way back in the day, so I think he wore that here at Oski because they didn't have a 1. And then when he got to go do his own thing, he wanted to be his own number.
Got to separate a little bit, huh?
You know, I heard you talking with Coach Foster before I got here about Bowen and Bourne and all that stuff, and that's going to be a blast.
Oh yeah.
Cole and Bowen are pretty good friends. Cole was instrumental in the recruitment of Bowen, and we're really happy to have him join us as a Panther.
Well, and there's going to be 3 little Hawkeye stars there with Cole, and then Evan Gogger from Indianola is there
now. And Cole
now,
and Evan have become really good friends, and the honest truth is they didn't like each other. They really despised each other, and now they're best friends. So they're running around together.
Yeah, and Bowen Bourne going to UNI next year, and I tell you what, Coach Jacobson is just lighting up the recruits as far as Iowa.
It's going to be fun to watch the next 4 years. Not just for me, but for you and everybody else. But for me personally, having gone through the AAU scene and having Xavier go to Iowa State, you know, Patty McCaffrey and Aiden Vanderloo and Jackson Molstead and all these guys we played with, Noah Carter, Bowen, Evan, guys we played against. There's been so much talent. You go back to even, you know, Cole and Xavier's freshman and sophomore year when we had Cade McKnight and the Sam Allen kid at Grinnell. They're both playing college ball too. There's so many kids that we as Oskaloosa fans and we as AAU parents get to watch for over the next 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really good time, and they watch them become grown men.
Yeah, and it just reminds us that we're getting old, right?
Yeah, we're getting old. We're getting old, and you know what's hit me at home and at my office is when I have a freshman basketball player who's having a bad day, and maybe he's homesick, and I look at him differently now. Because I get that phone call sometimes every now and then saying how he didn't have a very good day or something. And now it really hits home for me. And as a coach, you evolve so much through the growth of your own children. You know, I'm 46 years old. I would kick my butt at 26 now over the things that how I acted and reacted and just my style of coaching. And a lot of that has to do with having your own kids be coached and coaching your own kids and watching your own kids grow up and how you want your actual athletes to be treated. And that's been a good thing. That's been a great thing, as a matter of fact.
Sure. Also want to congratulate you. It's been a while ago now, but on your 400th win at William Penn. So, you mentioned 19 years you've been there, and
we are getting old.
You're not well above 400, but picked up your 400th win. Tell me about that moment and what that was like.
Oh, surreal. Because when I started here, and when we started here, it was about keeping a job. I just wanted to keep a job. I just wanted to be a college basketball coach. We didn't dream about 400 or national championship runs or Final Fours and all the Elite Eights and everything that we've done. It was about let's win some games and collect some paychecks and stay relevant. And it's just happened to morph into what it's become. And I'll tell you what, those early years when they were lean years, we thought that was the struggle. That was the fun stuff. We didn't realize it because at that time we want more, we want to be a champion, da-da-da-da-da. But, man, I look back at the life and times that we had those first few years, me and Brandon Linhart. Coach Foster was a part of it too, even Coach Parker. A lot of the guys that were part of those first 3-4 years when we were getting the program up and running, we thought that was a struggle, but those were good times.
Yeah.
It's harder to stay, ranked third in the country every year. I know that sounds really arrogant, but it's harder to win 30 games year after year after year than it is to take a program and make people believe in the early part. I didn't realize that. I thought the beginning was tough.
Well, speaking of coaching staffs, you've got a great one again. Let's talk about your coaching staff a little bit that is there to help you. I know you've got some assistants, some graduate assistants, student assistants, and everybody plays a role.
Blake Sandquist is the associate head coach. I've been blessed in 19 years to only have 3 top assistants. Him being the current one, I had Joe McKinstry before him, and then my first one was Brandon Linhart. That's very uncommon at this level to only have 3 guys in dang near 20 years. After Blake, and Blake's fantastic with everything he does. He makes me look very good. I'll just leave it at that. And then there's Don Hickenbottom, who's been with me over 10 years. Justin Wyatt, who was a player for me as well. He's been with us, I believe, 6 now since returning. The 2 graduate assistants, Brian Rickey and Cooper Murphy. Brian Rickey comes to us by way of UNI. Cooper Murphy comes to us by way of Colorado State. I knew Ali Faroukmanish through Cole's recruitment, and I asked them if they had any managers, and that's how we got those 2. And then there's all the student assistants, Wade Vautrebeck's from Oskaloosa, Jordan Helms, Dylan Stites is from Sheraton. I know I'm going to forget somebody, but we've got a long list of assistants. Ken Poole is another one off the top of my head. But I always have a large staff. I think, with as many players as we have a JV team and a varsity reserve team, so we actually have 3 teams. So you got to have a lot of staff, to make this work, and we've got a good one.
Well, one last thing I want to get some comments from you on is recruiting. How does recruiting work at D1 level, but at your level in the NAIA, what is it? How do you go about recruiting? And there's so many athletes out there to go and see and watch that could potentially fit into your program. But what is it that you specifically look for when you go out and actively go after a kid?
Well, recruiting is different every year because of your need and the amount of players that you need as well. I've been blessed through my 19 years. I would say the first, 13 or 14, I was the sole, not only recruiter, but I was the main recruiter of our players. Blake has taken over that role now. Blake and Coach Wyatt do probably 90% of our selection. Now, when the recruits, we get into it, I get a little more involved. When they come on their campus visit, I sit down with them or go to lunch with them, and I have an hour and a half, make sure they understand the ins and outs of the program. But your question was, how do we choose? A lot of times, the best recruiters of our program are our former players, especially the good ones. Good players know other good players. It's weird how that works, But a lot of referrals have been from former players, and they'll say, Coach, hey, we got this guy we think would be a good statesman, and that's the best reference you can have. And I can't understate how good of a recruiter and eye for talent Blake Sandquist has. A lot of our transfers are Blake guys, and he gets a tip from somebody and runs with it. And we've taken a lot of transfers lately. We're not trying to. It's just you can't turn down a guy like Stephen Roundtree or Brady Burford, Keith Stefik. I mean, how do you? We're going to not take Brandon Beasley because he only has a year. That's just not going to happen. And people ask me that all the time, like, wouldn't you rather have 4-year guys? Well, we have 4-year guys. They're just mixed with some transfers. Now, the relationships we have with 4-year guys is better because they're here longer. I mean, I'm tighter with Jesse DeGeese, Joel Stout, and Eric McGee than I am, James Devlin, except for, we're all still tight, but it's different. If you have them for a longer time, you obviously have more conversations and more time with them. But you're not going to turn down phenomenal talent at this level because every year is different. And you're trying to get it done from one year to the next, and that's how it works.
Absolutely. Well, if you haven't got out and seen William Penn in action yet, get on the website, check the schedule, and get out and see at least one game this year because it's fun, it's worth the admission, and they put on a show for sure under Coach Henry and his staff. Coach, thanks for coming in. Great to talk to you. Good luck to you and the Statesmen the rest of the year. That is John Henry. He is the head men's basketball coach at William Penn University, joining us here on Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Take a break. We'll be back with more coming up after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! Decision.
Oskaloosa. It's our community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. Telling its stories, sharing its smiles. We're building community, keeping you informed, giving you a voice, letting you know you're never alone during the victories and the losses, happiness and pain. For tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there, working for you, ready to tell your story. That's our commitment. It's what we do, now and in the future. Because we're always on. We're Oskaloosa News.
Welcome back to this week's Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Here on the Indians Corner, I'm Jamie Brockman, and we're going to go outside sports a little bit, and we're going to talk about some fundraisers going on for prom time. And I like to talk prom because I'm cold and I'm tired of snow, and prom generally means a little bit better, warmer weather in the spring, right? So let's talk a little bit about prom and some after-prom fundraisers that are going on that you can get involved with. I'm joined by Ashley Schultz, and Ashley is one of the volunteer parents that is on these after-prom committees. Ashley, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I've been noticing first off at a lot of these at our home basketball game events, I see you and 2 or 3 other parents out there shagging balls for kids, and I see a big old cart of soda pop 2-liters, and nobody ever brings me one of those 2-liters. But tell me what that's all about.
So basically, the soda shootout is for the home games only during the boys varsity games. And we have gotten some donations from Fairway and Hy-Vee and Pepsi, who donate the 2-liters. So basically, you come down, you can make a donation. It's $1 or more, whatever you want to provide, and you shoot the ball. If you make it, you get a free 2-liter pop.
Okay.
So you should take a break and come down.
That's probably why I haven't got a 2-liter, because they already know I wouldn't make the shot. So I don't know why even embarrass myself and try.
Right.
But anyway, so I see a lot of kids out there having fun with that, and we're going to continue that through the rest of the home games this winter.
For all the home games, and all the donations go strictly towards the after prom.
Okay. Another couple events coming up that we want to highlight is February 8th, which isn't too far away, right across from where we film here in the mall at Ironside Axe Club. So you get to do a little axe throwing and get to help raise some money for after prom.
Yep. So basically, the Oskaloosa after prom, basically what it is an organization, and we provide fun and a safe environment for the students to go to after prom. So in order to do that, we have to raise money. The only way we can do that is from you guys' help, from our community and our local businesses. So we try to partner up with new businesses, local businesses, people who have been around who love our community. And since Ironside was new, we met with them, and they're willing to do a whole day. So February 8th from 12 to 10, whoever comes there. There'll be 2 people from the after prom committee there, each 2-hour increments or whatever. But 20% of the sales that day will go towards after prom.
Okay.
Which is a really big deal.
Yeah, and you get to come have some fun and throw some acts
Yeah.
at walls, and hopefully at walls and not at each other. But and that's right here in Penn Central Mall. So that is February 8th from 12 to 10. And then another big event also here at Mall, Salvage Designs is going to be helping you out with a wine and canvas. Tell me about that.
Right. So wine and canvas is something that is new. We haven't done one yet for the after prom fundraising, and Salvage Design is moving to a new location. And so we decided to partner up with her to see if we can get some exposure on her end, plus the fundraising on our end. And Jennifer Maxwell is actually donating all of her time, so she's not taking any portion of the profit. So that's really super cool. And she's having 2 classes. So it'll be the 22nd at 10 a.m. or again at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So there's 2 options to go to those classes. You sign up, pre-register on our Facebook event page.
Okay. I was just going to ask, how do people get signed up for that?
Yep.
So talk about that again. How do they get signed up?
So if you go to the Salvage Designs Facebook page, she has created an event. And you can go to the event and click pre-register, and it links right to her website, and you can go ahead and pre-register that way.
Okay. Anybody that's done the wine and canvases with other organizations or things, it's fun, and it's good fun bonding time, and that's on the 22nd at Salvage Designs. So those are a couple of the upcoming things, and then the home games with the soda shootout. Anything else planned between then and prom time that you know of right now?
So as far as like getting other businesses involved, next week we meet as a committee at Wood Iron Grill, and we spend a whole couple hours stuffing envelopes and folding and mailing out big mailers to all the businesses and local people to help support us with that. Because basically the after prom we have it at the PAC, and we have lots of activities going on, and so we have to fund those to get them there.
Yeah.
We also do giveaways. We have like one of those glass boxes that you can get in and like catch all the money. Like we have a lot of fun things for the kids to participate in and keep them in a safe environment and keep the tradition. I think it's been going on for 15 years.
Yeah, and after prom, I mean, it is important because one, it extends the special night for the kids, but it's more of a relaxed atmosphere now. So all the stress of the formal and all that is done, and now you go and you're just running around in shirts and shorts or whatever and having fun. But the kids love it. I mean, what are the reaction you get from the kids from this?
They love it. Their favorite activity is the 9 square, and that's like PVC pipe that they've created to play a game, and most kids get real sweaty and gross, but it's really fun. It's a lot of competition going on. There's like the tattoo place that we do, the spray on tattoos. You can pick what tattoo you want, and we do that. There's just lots of really cool things to do, and you're never bored. You're just bouncing from one thing to the other. And there's donations from bread dough for pizza. McDonald's is donating this year, Snowbiz. So
Great.
Yeah.
Great to see all the business involvement and community involvement to help make sure our kids have a fun, safe night in a safe environment.
Yeah.
So you have to stay up till 5 a.m.?
Yeah, we usually take a nap when they go to prom and then meet there and get that started. And that's the other thing too, it'd be nice, because it's all parents mostly, or if some of the parents are still on, their kids have graduated and they just love it. They just want to keep being a part of it. So if you want to be a part of something like that too, we're always looking for new blood and people to get involved in new ideas. And
that was my next question, was how, if somebody does want to help, how do they get a hold of you or somebody else?
Yeah, you can contact, we have a Facebook page, it's called Oskaloosa After Prom. So you can contact or send a message on that, or you can contact any member that's on it. It's me, Pam, Carol Kelderman, there's a lot of people on it. But if you're not sure who to contact, you can always contact our Facebook page.
All right.
Yep.
Sounds great. So again, bring the kids or the adults and go out and do the soda shoot at halftime of the home boys games this year, the rest of the season. And then again, don't forget February 8th is the date at Ironside Axe Club from 12 to 10. February 22nd is the date of the wine and canvas events at Salvage Designs. And again, you can find out more on Salvage Designs website, Facebook. You can also go to the After Prom Facebook page as well, and that was just Oskaloosa After Prom?
Yep.
Okay, on Facebook. So go find out more and see what you can do to help to ensure that our kids have a great night on prom night and after prom right here in Oskaloosa. Ashley, thanks for all you guys do, and thanks for coming in today.
Thanks a lot.
That's Ashley Schultz, one of the After Prom Committee members, joining us here on Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We'll be back with more coming up right after this.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Well, that's going to do it for another edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Corner. I want to thank our guests who came in and joined us today. Oskaloosa boys basketball coach DeJuan Foster, wrestling coach Chase Weber, also William Penn men's head basketball coach John Henry, and After Prom Committee member volunteer parent Ashley Schultz joining us on set today as well. Busy week coming up here on the Indians Network as we're going down the back stretch here of the winter sports season. Monday night we have girls basketball as the girls will make up that game at home against Bondurant Farrar. That is part of a freshman JV varsity girls triple header. So the varsity game is going to be around 7:45, and we'll have that on the Indians Network Monday. Tuesday, back to Little Hawkeye Conference at home. Girl boy doubleheader hosting DCG. We'll have that with pregame at 6 o'clock Tuesday, and girls tip-off at 6:15, followed by the boys. Thursday night, Oskaloosa Wrestling is back on the air here on the Indians Network. It's going to be a long night of wrestling as it's a quad featuring Williamsburg, Washington, Keokuk, and Oskaloosa, and you'll see it all right here on the Indians Network. Thursday, that starts at 5 o'clock on Thursday. And then Friday, we're home again to end the week with another girl-boy basketball doubleheader in the conference. Newton coming to town. And boy, I tell you what, if you think back to the game at Newton not that long ago, it was intense and hectic in that boys game. And hopefully we can get Newton back for that one, get a win, and electrify the gym, bring a lot of people out for that one on Friday night, and see if we can send Newton home with a loss. So looking forward to another busy week of action here on the Indians Network. As always, thanks to our sponsors, Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee, for making Indians Corner possible. Thanks to our Indians Network partners, MCG, Oskaloosa News, and Thunder Country. And thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back with another edition of Indians Corner next Sunday. Till then, thanks for watching. I'm Jamie Brockman. Go Indians!